On the morning of March 12, 2025, headlines rippled across the country with a shock that felt unreal. Mike Wolfe, the beloved star of American Pickers, the man millions believed was dedicated to preserving America's history, had been sentenced to life in prison. The charges sounded like the plot of a high-stakes political thriller: transnational artifact smuggling, concealing evidence connected to the suspicious death of a respected historian, and manipulating the antique auction market in schemes worth tens of millions. For over a decade, Wolfe had been the denim-clad, soft-spoken road warrior of history, driving through America's forgotten backroads to rescue relics of the past. But after a 46-day trial in a Chicago courtroom, prosecutors painted a chilling portrait of a man deeply entangled in international black market networks, stretching from Civil War battlefields to looted treasures from war zones in the Middle East. The story began on June 17, 2023 in Bloomington, Indiana. Neighbors had complained about a strange odor coming from the home of Professor Harold Clemens, a retired University of Chicago historian known for his expertise on Civil War-era artifacts. When police entered the house, they found Clemens lying lifeless in his basement. In his right hand was a silver pocket watch engraved with the words, "RK 1887, for honor, not glory." At first glance, the scene looked like nothing more than the peaceful passing of an elderly man. But the watch was a puzzle piece that didn't fit. A week later, a leaked memo from the Savannah National Museum revealed that this exact watch had once been part of the Battlefield Heritage Collection, a set of priceless Civil War relics that had mysteriously disappeared from museum storage in 2019. The theft had never been made public. The discovery set off a chain reaction. An anonymous Reddit user, going by the name GearGhost82, claimed to have seen the very same watch in an unaired episode of American Pickers, describing Wolfe holding it in his palm and saying, "This watch tells stories." Within days, more people came forward, insisting they'd seen the watch either on television or in Wolfe's antique archaeology store in Nashville. By July 2023, the FBI had launched a secretive investigation under the codename Operation Rust Rail, focusing on whether Wolfe was part of a sophisticated interstate, and possibly international, network trading in stolen antiquities. The first major break in the case came from an unreleased History Channel video. In the dim light of a dusty warehouse, Wolfe was caught on camera negotiating for a set of military pocket watches with a man whose identity the network refused to confirm. At one point, Wolfe was heard saying, "I don't care where they came from, I just care that they survive." Investigators dug deeper and soon found that Clemens, the deceased historian, had emailed a friend just days before his death, claiming he had evidence that could expose a well-known television figure in the antiques world. While Clemens's death was never officially ruled a homicide, the investigation began to close in on Wolfe. Surveillance eventually led the FBI to a warehouse containing stolen museum pieces. From there, they uncovered shell companies, hidden storage units, and even a priceless Egyptian statue that had vanished from the Luxor Museum in 2011. The financial trail told its own damning story. Over $4.7 million had been funneled through offshore accounts linked to Wolfe's antique dealings. Among the most disturbing finds was List 17, a coded inventory of black market artifacts stored in a secret Nashville facility. Inside Wolfe's own notebook, agents discovered a cryptic line: "They will never understand. This is about heritage, not money." When the trial began on January 9, 2025, the 39-page indictment listed charges of illegal transportation of antiquities, international trafficking of cultural heritage, tax evasion, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and concealing evidence in a suspicious death. Prosecutors presented grainy surveillance footage of Wolfe purchasing Roman coins from a Syrian contact in a Detroit garage. They called former American Pickers co-host Frank Fritz to the stand, who testified that Wolfe's passion for collecting had crossed into dangerous obsession. Fritz described moments on the road when items acquired for the show never made it to the shop or the public, vanishing instead into private hands for undisclosed amounts. The defense countered by portraying Wolfe as nothing more than a passionate collector, arguing that if illegal items passed through his possession, it was due to failures in his logistics team, not deliberate intent. Wolfe himself spoke only once during the trial, telling the jury, "I never saw myself as a criminal. I just wanted to save what others had thrown away. If that makes me guilty, I accept it." The judge took just minutes to deliver the verdict: life in prison without parole. American Pickers was immediately canceled. Both antique archaeology locations were seized by federal authorities. The antiques market itself was rattled, as collectors and dealers feared their own transactions could come under scrutiny. Among the recovered artifacts were religious relics looted from war zones, including a marble carving taken from an Ottoman royal tomb. The public was deeply divided. Some believed Wolfe was a scapegoat, sacrificed to make an example in a corrupt global trade where powerful, unseen hands pull the strings. Others saw him as a man who knowingly crossed the line for profit and prestige. One particular mystery fueled the conspiracy theories: an entry from List 17, labeled Q7R3VTI. Online sleuths speculated it could link to secret Vatican operations, though the FBI declined to comment. In prison, Wolfe reportedly keeps to himself, his demeanor suggesting he had anticipated this end for years. Federal agents have hinted the investigation is far from over, with whispers of more high-profile arrests on the horizon. From a childhood in Joliet, Illinois, where he scavenged for treasures in alleyways, to the heights of television stardom, and finally to a prison cell, Mike Wolfe's journey became a cautionary tale of how passion can blur into obsession, and how obsession can cross the line into crime. Whether he was a visionary collector destroyed by a flawed system, or a calculating trafficker brought down by his own ambition, may never be known. But one truth remains certain. In the world of history and heritage, the past has a way of resurfacing, no matter how deeply you try to bury it.